The narcissist does this every day when you go no contact with them. If you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissist, you know the emotional toll it can take. Narcissists thrive on manipulation and control, and when you decide to cut ties, it doesn't just end. The narcissist doesn't simply move on. They react. They engage in behaviors every day to regain control, reassert their dominance, and continue feeding their fragile ego. But what exactly do they do when you go no contact? Let's dive into the subtle yet predictable patterns they exhibit. When you first go no contact, the narcissist reaction might be anger or disbelief. They are not used to being ignored or abandoned. For them, relationships are transactional, and you are a source of validation. Your absence disrupts their sense of self-worth. This immediate emotional reaction, whether through anger or confusion, is often the first response. They can't stand the idea of losing control over you, so they'll fight to regain it, usually in manipulative ways. The narcissist will often go through a phase of self-victimization. They might tell anyone who will listen how unfair you've been to them. This is their way of painting themselves as the victim in the situation. Even though they are the ones who caused the toxicity in the relationship, they want others to feel sorry for them. And in doing so, they try to shift the blame and responsibility away from themselves. This is a common narcissistic tactic. Expect the narcissist to try to hoover you back into their life. Hoovering refers to the tactic they use to suck you back in, like a vacuum. They may send you a message or call with some form of emotional manipulation. Maybe an apology, maybe a promise of change. It's rarely genuine. It's simply a way for them to regain control. They've lost access to your validation, and they'll do whatever they can to get it back. Their goal is always about their needs, not yours. Another daily behavior the narcissist engages in after no contact is triangulation. This is when they involve other people in your relationship, often behind your back. They might talk about you to mutual friends or family, making them think that you're the one who's unreasonable or unloving. The narcissist's ultimate goal is to manipulate others into pressuring you to break your no-contact boundary and return to them. They might also try to guilt-trip you into resuming contact. Narcissists are experts at making you feel responsible for their well-being. They'll play on your emotions, pretending they are devastated by your decision. This manipulation is designed to make you feel like you're abandoning them. They want to exploit your sense of empathy to regain control. This daily behavior is not about healing for them. It's about making you feel compelled to return. As you maintain no contact, the narcissist may attempt to smear your reputation. This can involve telling lies, spreading rumors, or twisting the truth to make you appear like the villain. Their goal is to tarnish your image in the eyes of others, especially those who might still have some influence over you. They want to shift the focus from their own toxic behavior to make you look bad and justify their need for your attention or validation. When they realize their emotional manipulation isn't working, narcissists may try to move on quickly, seeking new sources of validation. They'll jump into another relationship, often immediately after your departure. This is their way of showing you that they don't need you, even though deep down, they still do. The new relationship is rarely healthy. It's just another attempt to fill the void you left behind. But this behavior is also a way to trigger jealousy and control you indirectly. Even when you're not there, the narcissist may spend their days thinking about how to get you back. They may strategize ways to break your no-contact rule. This could mean sending you an innocent message, a birthday greeting, or even attempting to reach you through a third party. They know that if they can just re-establish some form of communication, they might be able to slowly regain control over your emotions and behaviors. One thing a narcissist does almost daily when you go no contact is engage in self-pity. They are experts at convincing themselves and others that they are the true victim. They'll lament about how badly you've treated them and how misunderstood they are. This self-pity can be draining, and it serves to make them feel better about themselves. Narcissists rarely accept accountability for their actions. Instead, they wallow in the idea that the world is unfair to them. Another behavior is passive-aggressive actions. Narcissists may subtly attack you without directly confronting you. They might post things on social media designed to provoke a reaction from you or other people in your life. They know that no contact means you're no longer reacting to them. So they'll use indirect methods to get the attention they crave. This form of aggression is intended to make you feel bad, guilty, or confused, hoping that you'll reinitiate contact. When no contact becomes more established, narcissists often engage in reality distortion. They'll twist the narrative of the relationship to fit their needs. This can mean rewriting history, making themselves look like the perfect partner or victim, and presenting you as the aggressor. They believe that by distorting reality, they can justify their actions and manipulate your perception. This behavior shows how little regard they have for the truth. The narcissist's need for external validation is so strong that even when you've gone no contact, they will seek attention from anyone who will listen. They may boast about their achievements, share superficial success stories, or even fabricate things to appear superior. This constant need for praise is their way of filling the emptiness inside, but it's also a way of maintaining their dominance in the eyes of others. Narcissists also often experience what psychologists call narcissistic injury. When they are ignored, when they don't get the validation they seek, it feels like an attack on their fragile ego. This injury often manifests as rage or frustration, and they may lash out indirectly at anyone nearby. They might accuse others of causing their pain, but at the core they are angry that they have lost their primary source of admiration and attention. Another thing narcissists do daily when you go no contact is convince themselves that you'll come back. Narcissists believe they are entitled to control the outcome of any relationship, and they often feel that you will eventually return to them. This belief in their own superiority means they don't fully accept the idea that they could lose you forever. They'll wait, patiently or impatiently, for you to reach out to them. They simply can't fathom being abandoned permanently. Narcissists are constantly monitoring their environment for any sign that you might break no contact. They might check your social media profiles, ask mutual friends about you, or even search for ways to interact with you indirectly. They want to see if you are moving on or if you still care. Even though they may act indifferent on the surface, inside, they are obsessing over whether you'll reach out or if they can make you come back. As you stay no contact, the narcissist will likely escalate their behaviors, especially if they see any weakness or opportunity. They might start showing up at places where they know you frequent, hoping for a chance to reconnect. If they can create a small interaction, they believe it could open the door for them to manipulate their way back into your life. For them, it's a power game that they are willing to play relentlessly. Over time, the narcissist may begin to feel more and more desperate, especially if they can't fill the void you left behind. They might even contact people from your past or mutual acquaintances in an attempt to find out how you're doing or to convince them to encourage you to break the silence. They view your silence as a challenge to their authority, and they'll do whatever they can to destroy your boundaries and regain their influence over you. On a deeper level, the narcissist's daily behavior in the face of no contact is about maintaining control over their emotions. Narcissists fear vulnerability. They want to avoid feelings of weakness at all costs. When you go no contact, they are confronted with the vulnerability they've been avoiding for so long. It's a profound blow to their ego, and they'll often act out in strange, erratic ways to mask their internal turmoil. The narcissist may spend their days trying to rationalize your decision. They will often convince themselves that you're the one with the problem, or that you'll eventually see things their way. This denial is part of their deep need to believe that they are never wrong and that everyone else is at fault. They can't handle the reality that their toxic behavior has driven you away. While they may try to minimize their own actions, narcissists can't help but obsess over the idea that they've lost their primary source of validation. They might try to convince themselves that they are better off without you, but the truth is, they still desire the control you provided them. Their internal conflict can lead to daily feelings of frustration, and they might display passive-aggressive behaviors to vent their anger. Narcissists are notorious for blaming others for their problems, and they will do this even when you're not around. They'll tell anyone who will listen that you were the cause of the breakup, that you never understood them, or that you're the one who's too sensitive. This is another way they protect their fragile ego. By shifting the blame, They can avoid the painful realization that their own behaviors were responsible for pushing you away. The narcissist's obsession with power and control doesn't just stop when you go no contact. They will continue to test the boundaries of your decision, even if you don't engage. They might send you a casual text, a gift, or a reminder of better times. These are not genuine attempts to reconnect. They are calculated moves to test your resolve and see if they can break your no-contact rule. Narcissists also have a tendency to idealize their relationships when they are no longer part of their lives. When they look back, they often rewrite history to fit their narrative. They'll focus only on the good moments or the times when you gave them validation, conveniently forgetting the toxic behaviors that led to the no-contact decision. This selective memory is their way of coping with the loss and maintaining their sense of superiority. Despite their outward bravado, narcissists fear being forgotten. The more you maintain no contact, the more they feel like they are losing their place in your life. This fear can manifest in subtle, manipulative ways. They might even pretend to have moved on, showcasing their new relationships or achievements, all while secretly hoping that you'll come back, validating their worth once again. Even if you don't respond, narcissists will continue to monitor your life. They will look for signs that you're struggling without them, secretly hoping that you miss them, or that you'll eventually break your silence. Their need to feel superior is so great that they can't fathom being forgotten, and they'll check your social media or ask mutual friends to see if you're moving on without them. At some point, the narcissist might start comparing their new sources of attention to you. They'll evaluate if anyone else is providing the same level of validation you once gave them. If they don't get the same response, they may grow frustrated and more determined to get you back. This is all part of their game to maintain dominance and feed their ego, and they won't stop until they find a suitable replacement or regain control over you. The narcissist may try to manipulate your emotions by playing on your sense of guilt or empathy. They'll remind you of the good times or try to convince you that you owe them an explanation. Their goal is simple. They want to break your resolve. They know that if they can tap into your emotional vulnerabilities, they can break the no-contact rule and pull you back into their web of control. Even after you go no contact, the narcissist will often tell themselves that you'll eventually come back. This delusion is based on their inflated sense of self-importance. They believe they are so unique, so captivating, that you will realize your mistake and return to them. This is one of their daily obsessions, convincing themselves that they are irreplaceable, even though they have no respect for the relationship or your well-being. Eventually, the narcissist will become more calculating in their attempts to get you back. They may try to subtly influence mutual friends, tell them how much they miss you, or even get close to people who are important to you. They're hoping to create an opening, a crack in the wall you've built to protect yourself. But the truth is, they won't stop trying to regain control until they can find a way to make you care again. The narcissist's need for validation never goes away. Even after you go no contact, they might try to impress you with their achievements or new relationships, hoping it will make you jealous or compel you to reach out. They can't handle being ignored or forgotten, and they believe that if they can show off, you'll eventually come back to reaffirm their worth. As time passes, the narcissist might experience frustration and resentment due to your silence. This feeling can grow into a toxic obsession. They believe that by staying persistent and pushing boundaries, they can eventually break through your resolve. However, all these attempts are rooted in their need for power and control, not genuine concern or care for you. Their actions are a desperate cry to remain in the driver's seat of the relationship, even if it's unhealthy. What the narcissist doesn't realize is that with each failed attempt to reach you, they deepen the emotional chasm. Their reactions are not based on love, but on the desire to maintain dominance. As they struggle to regain access, they grow increasingly angry or withdrawn. But this anger is a reflection of their own insecurity, not any real desire for reconciliation. It's simply their fragile ego being wounded. The narcissist's internal monologue during no contact is filled with denial. They may refuse to accept that the relationship is over, even if you've clearly communicated your decision. They will justify their actions by blaming you or others, never confronting their own toxic behaviors. This denial is part of their defense mechanism to protect themselves from feelings of inadequacy and shame. In their pursuit of regaining control, the narcissist will often try to twist your no-contact decision. They might reach out to you indirectly through mutual acquaintances, asking how you're doing, or even downplaying their earlier behavior to seem less threatening. They'll tell others they've changed, or that you misunderstood their intentions, creating confusion to manipulate the narrative in their favor. The longer you stay no contact, the more desperate the narcissist becomes. Their attempts to regain your attention may grow more extreme. They might start showing up at your home or work, hoping for a chance to confront you. Their desperation is a sign of their deep-seated fear of abandonment. The thought of being forgotten or replaced cuts deeply into their identity, and they will do anything to prevent that from happening. Despite their best efforts, the narcissist will never admit they were wrong. They believe that their behaviors are justified, and any attempts to break up with them are seen as an attack on their sense of self-worth. They'll tell themselves that you're the one making the mistake, and they may even try to present themselves as the martyr. This internal narrative allows them to keep their ego intact and avoid the harsh truth of their own role in the relationship's demise. Another strategy the narcissist uses when you go no contact is to create false narratives. They might spread rumors about you to mutual connections, painting themselves as the victim and you as the instigator. They want to ensure that anyone who might be in contact with you sees the situation through their distorted lens. By manipulating others, they hope to isolate you and force you to reconsider your decision. Even though narcissists constantly crave admiration and validation, they may act aloof or indifferent in public once you've gone no contact. This behavior is a facade. It's meant to convince others that they are unaffected by the breakup. Deep down, however, they are obsessing over every interaction, wondering if you will ever reach out. Their arrogance masks the intense vulnerability they feel inside. The narcissist may attempt to appear as if they have moved on, entering new relationships quickly after the breakup. However, these new relationships rarely last and are typically a rebound. The narcissist is using someone else as a substitute to temporarily fill the void left by you. This is another manipulation tactic to make you feel insignificant or to trigger jealousy, but ultimately their need for external validation remains unfulfilled. As you remain firm in your no-contact decision, you may begin to notice that the narcissist behavior starts to mirror the very traits you tried to escape. They may become obsessed with proving their worth or showing off their achievements, whether it's through social media or through others. This constant need for attention reflects their inability to find internal fulfillment. They rely on external sources to feel validated, including you. The narcissist may also resort to subtle sabotage in an effort to get your attention. They might spread misinformation, manipulate people in your life, or even try to provoke you into breaking no contact. They will use any tactic to make you feel guilty or to convince you that you've made a mistake. Their actions are not born out of love or concern, but from the need to dominate your life and thoughts once more. While their tactics may evolve, the narcissist's core behavior remains the same. Their need for control and validation. They may initially try to engage in emotional manipulation, but once that fails, they shift to more aggressive methods. They believe that by any means necessary, they can regain your attention. However, each failed attempt only highlights the desperation and emptiness they feel without you. Narcissists view no contact as a challenge to their authority and entitlement. They can't comprehend a world where they don't have access to your energy or emotions. Their need to maintain dominance is so ingrained that it becomes an obsession. When you refuse to engage, you disrupt their sense of reality, which leaves them feeling vulnerable and insecure. Over time, the narcissist may begin to question their worth, especially if their efforts to manipulate you are unsuccessful. This questioning isn't a sign of growth, but rather a sign of their need to feel validated by anyone around them. They may seek out new people to fill the emotional void, but they will always return to the same cycle of self-doubt and manipulation when they feel ignored. Despite all of their manipulative efforts, the narcissist is not capable of self-reflection. They will likely never admit that they contributed to the toxic dynamics of the relationship. Instead, They will place blame on you or others. This is their way of avoiding the shame and guilt that comes with recognizing their flaws. Their ego is too fragile to accept responsibility for their actions. Narcissists often rely on creating a false sense of reality to maintain control. They will rewrite history, ignore their past behavior, and present themselves as the aggrieved party. They may even convince themselves that you are the problem. This delusional thinking allows them to hold on to their distorted sense of superiority while avoiding the emotional consequences of their actions. Their obsession with control and validation is relentless. Narcissists can't tolerate being disregarded or ignored. When you maintain no contact, they are forced to confront their internal emptiness, something they usually try to avoid at all costs. But this confrontation doesn't lead to self-growth. Instead, it drives them to try even harder to manipulate you and others around you into breaking the silence. As you stay no contact, the narcissist will likely continue to test your boundaries. They might send indirect messages, post things on social media to provoke you, or use mutual acquaintances to try to reach you. Their efforts reflect their desperation and inability to accept that you are no longer a source of validation. They will continue this cycle, hoping that one day you'll give in. In conclusion, when you go no contact with a narcissist, you disrupt their entire world. They cannot tolerate being ignored or abandoned, and they will do whatever it takes to regain control. From manipulation to self-victimization, their behaviors are rooted in their insatiable need for validation. But by staying no contact, you are protecting yourself from their toxic influence, allowing yourself the space to heal and rebuild your life free from their manipulation.